right, let's size him up as we check out the tail of the tape. Pestryaev at 28, just a year older than Page at 5'11", both quite tall for welterweights. They each came in at 147, the limit, and Page with the inch-and-a-half reach advantage. Key rules for this fight: no standing 8 count. The 3 knockdown rule is in effect. The fighter cannot be saved by the bell except in the final round. If an accidental headbutt occurs before the end of the 4th round, it's a technical draw. After the end of round 4, they go to the scorecards. Originally, this bout was sanctioned by the WBA as a title fight as we look at James Page. But earlier this week, in what has become a familiar scenario, a judge in New Jersey ruled that this bout not be for the championship, but that number 2 ranked Jose Luis Lopez, promoted by Main Events, be given the fight for the title vacated when Ike Corte, also promoted by Main Events, was stripped for twice failing to fight Pestryaev. Meanwhile, here in Paris, another judge has ruled that Pestryaev versus Page will be for the title. After all, Showtime, contrary to a press release issued by Main Events, did previously check with the WBA, confirmed this bout as sanctioned. The WBA, reacting to New Jersey, pulled the sanction, and now reacting to Paris, has restored it. And for our part, probably yours as well, we don't know, we don't care. We're simply tired of all this nonsense, but we felt we had to tell you this story anyway. So I'll tell you what, instead of Showtime, Bobby, this fight should be on Court TV.
Well, I'll tell you what, every time we hear about Main Events, it's followed by a judge said or a judge ruled or ordered, so I'm not sure what's going on. I think the People's Court will take it.
Well, as for the participants, although Pestryaev is Russian, wearing the red trunks, trained by former fighter Louis Saccaris of France. We saw Louis in the Rahilou corner earlier. In fact, tonight, his 5th fight on French soil. He's 4-0 with 3 KOs here in France, so he's no stranger to this environment. Meanwhile, the hard-hitting Page, unfamiliar surroundings for him, who's making his European debut. He's got some kind of left hook. In fact, respected matchmaker Peyton Shear called Page the hardest hitting welterweight in the world today. That's saying a lot considering that division.
And considering Peyton's maybe one of the finest opinion makers in boxing. So did Don King, by the way. On the way over in the plane, said if this is going to be an upset, it's going to be Page. The guy can bang. So let's see.
Pestryaev has a reputation, European stand-up style. Usually what goes with that is a rock chin and great conditioning. Well, he's going to need that chin if he's going to get by that left hook.
He must be tough. He's here because he's a very good fighter. So I think this is going to shape up to be a fight of the night.
You know, I just saw Pestryaev do something very smart. He threw a right hand to the body underneath the left hook of Page. He got a big punch with a left hook. Take his body away. That left hook will slow down.
Pestryaev never off his feet, but he did get wobbled by Pernell Whitaker and seems to bust up easily. If he stands right in there in front of this guy Page and shows no movement, not a healthy choice. Again, some questionable opposition of late, with the exception of Whitaker, but he'd better have a good chin against this kid from Pittsburgh, California.
Well, and the other end of that coin is Page better have a good chin. I mean, you know, he comes in here with all this reputation as a puncher. You got to be able to take a punch.
Pestryaev just threw a nice double jab, straight right hand on the chin of Page, who took it very well. So we got to find out if he's got the power Page has. I highly doubt that.
There's a nasty jab, shotgun jab, as you would call it, Bobby, from Page.
Which is odd that he keeps his hand that low and yet can jab that good. I mean, look where his hand is for a jab.
And that is a powerful jab. It's sending the Russian back.
Well, there's a rumor that the Russian has a little bit of a tendency to bust up, swell up. Those power punches that Page is throwing should do some damage.
By the Russian, I take it you mean Pestryaev.
Yes, that's correct.
Just checking.
As far as the American Page, no fights in '97. He told us he spent 10 months in prison that year, got into trouble with phony credit cards, very remorseful now, and quite thankful for this second chance to fight.
Page walked into a nice right hand here, too. Got his attention pretty well. Took it nicely. And big left hand, left hook right hand.
The Russian goes down.
And he is in trouble. He sagged into the corner. He didn't look like he's in great shape then. They landed right on the button, and he can bang.
And Purdy, that's the first time he has tasted the canvas in his career. First knockdown.
Page worked him back to the ropes, used a jab and a strong right hand, used the ropes as a backstop, and fired a straight right hand left hook. How you feel?
Okay. You okay? Okay. You have a time. Take it easy. You do a mistake, you know, boom. It's enough. Give him a water.
Yeah, I will.
Let's take a look at that knockdown. Everything was going Page's way, and I think he sensed it. He put in, well, the left did it. He didn't need the other one, but
well, actually, as he's backing him up here, I think the left hand gets his head up in the air a little bit. He snaps him up there, but that right hand off the top of his forehead, I think, kind of just drove him to the floor. The punches are clean. They're all heavy, Ferdy, so it's hard to tell.
Okay.
Karras, the cornerman, the same cornerman that worked Raul, so he's in for a very long night. Both his fighters end up on the canvas before the fight starts.
More than English, Pestryaev speaks boxing. And that's what Louis Zacharias says in front of his face. The #1 contender knocked down with 35 seconds remaining in round 1. A rude awakening for the Russian.
Just a moment ago, it was a pretty right-hand lead by the Russian to the body. Pestryaev with a nice right to the body, but the danger there, and there's a nice right hand to the head.
Yeah.
Danger there.
Oh! A left hook that sends him sprawling to the canvas, and forget about it. No way he's getting up from this one. It is all over. Even Louis Zacharias was out at the count of 8.
His head bounced on that so hard we could hear it. Bobby, remember I told you at the beginning there's no padding to this? He hit boards.
But what I was saying was, when he goes to the body, he goes from a straight stand-up position. You can't do that with a power this kid has. The counter left hook will take his head off, and what happens?
See, they should leave him until he's fully recovered, then sit him up. See, they're badly mistaken what they're doing with him now. This guy's not still there. Now comes the stool. Now sit down. Sit down, and let him recover.
Knocked senseless to the canvas, and he is still on wobbly legs. Finally, they get a stool under him, Ferdy.
They got a stool, but they got to make him use it. Sit down.
Slowly.
This guy is so far out, he doesn't even know how to fold his legs.
He makes it to the stool.
Well, I think that the punch was enough to really hammer him senseless, but boy, that bouncing off this unpadded, this virtually unpadded ring certainly didn't add to it.
We told you about the vicious left hook of this kid, James Page, and Peyton Shear, the matchmaker, may be right on.
I'll tell you what, here's somebody that De La Hoya probably doesn't want, Corte doesn't want. Nobody wants any piece of this guy for not anything short of a lot of change.
Well, one of the best-kept secrets in boxing, but that could have changed tonight. James Page.
Well, let's take a look at what can be described as an almost perfect knockdown. Let's look at it perhaps a couple of times. Let's study it, because watch Page's left. He begins with the left. He's setting it up now. There's the left right there. Now look at him. That's all gone. Left and a right on the way down. But look at the way his head bounced. Now that bounced up, and it sounded awful from here. It sounded like a... Now,
watch
Bobby,
it again. Now, this is something that's not traditional. Normally, when a guy fires a right hand, you fire right hand back. He throws a left hook over the right hand, something that I used to do, and I think it's very effective. No one's expecting it. And look at that head slam. All his weight was going down, and the whiplash into that canvas was terrific. Look at this.
Well, as we see, the left hand's the only thing you need. He could have stepped back, and he was gone. He was on the way. Those other two punches did not land with any force. But the fact...
One last look at this head snapping. The hook is great, and the hook has probably got him out anyway, but if the hook didn't do it, and here it is, you can see he's out. His eyes are gone, but watch his head slam, and you can't really see the full force to that slam because the camera wasn't quick enough, but he really hit the ground hard.
You know, and I'm left with how often in our openings do we say things that come back to you. I said it's easy to win the title, it's hard to hold it. Tonight we've seen two